In this video, you're going to watch me compete for my first pro title of my career, as well as challenge Japan's largest tennis YouTuber to a match. As you might have seen in last week's video, I won my first 2 group stage matches at this UTR $25,000 professional event. Now, if you've been following my journey, I'm trying to become one of the world's best 1,000 tennis players, and this tournament is going to help me play matches, collect prize money, and get some really good confidence under my belt, as well as hopefully winning my first pro title. Now, so far in the group, I've got 2 wins from 2 matches, and I still have 2 matches to go to see if I can make it to the semi-final knockout stage. So I hope you're ready for an action-packed video, and let's jump into me challenging Iori to a match. So a bit of context, this is Iori. He goes by the YouTube channel Eori Legend. He plays tournaments and shows his journey trying to win national tournaments in Japan, which is epic. He's about an 11.2 UTR, so a good challenge, and he invited me to this court to play a full set for a live stream on his YouTube channel. Let's see how it went.
What's up?
What's up? You good?
I'm good.
I'm very excited. I was watching your videos from the UK. I watched your video with Novak. I was thinking, damn, like one day I want to play against this guy. And now we're finally here, making it happen.
Today is not entertaining. I'm gonna beat you with my full energy.
Okay.
Let's go!
So we had a little bit of a hit. This court was pretty unique. He had the 2 camera setup for the live stream. He obviously talked in Japanese for his mainly Japanese audience. But if you enjoy tennis content, go and check out his channel in the description.
Up or down?
All the way up.
Up.
That's up. First game, we're going to just get some nerves out, put the ball into his body, see how he's returning. Not go for too much. Maybe if I see a chance, come forwards, but play pretty relaxed. So the set was classic, 1st to 6. Wanted to start off serving pretty decently. Now, obviously, this was during my UTR event on my day off, so I didn't want to go crazy intensity. But Iori was definitely bringing the heat. Very tight first game. Iori giving his thoughts. So a lot of pressure with the live stream. I've never done live streaming, so I'm gonna get used to it a little bit. Try and get some good points in there, you know? Apparently we are playing for dinner at some point, so there are stakes. And with the stakes being super high, I knew I had to lock in. Now, obviously for Iori's video, I wanted to get some really cool points, you know, good stuff in there for the content. Now, obviously that's a nice way of playing. Obviously when you're competing in the tournaments, you're fully focused on actually winning. But sometimes you just have to remember that tennis is about enjoyment. It's about playing for fun and trying to beat your opponent. And I was trying to have as much fun on the court as possible. And obviously I was focused on winning as well. Nice cheeky inside-out forehand there, really putting me back in this game. But Iori does get 1 game on the board, and I knew that this wasn't going to be as easy as I maybe thought. So I knew I had to really keep focused on all of these points, because the way Iori was moving around the court was actually pretty insane. The guy runs for every single ball. Like, he always says, you know, off camera even, like, you know, I have the mindset of Novak, like I'm always a fighter, and he definitely is. You know, he really sticks to that and absolutely gives us 100% to everything, which I really respect. You're breathing very heavy.
So heavy. I always breathing so heavy.
It's only 2-1. We're just getting started.
But actually my stamina is fine.
I definitely need to up the ante a bit now. I always do this when the cameras are on. It's like you get in your own head and then you start not playing just for playing. Start trying to get good points and stuff. We're just gonna win. And that is actually a funny thing. For those of you that haven't played like in front of a camera with some pressure before, try it out, because it changes your perspective on playing tennis. Especially when you're also not just focused on winning, you're also talking, you're doing this other stuff. It's a lot trickier than you would think, and it shows how mental the game of tennis is. So it's a little bit of an eye-opening experience every time I try and do this. But you know, chance here. Iori playing a great ball down to my feet, coming with that slice, and I miss it wide. My level here at 2-all. I'm just trying to find ways of mixing it up. And that did not go to plan. And using the forehand to find the error. Absolute weapon on that side, especially with this new FX racket giving me so much more pop on the ball. I've really seen that as the main difference, especially on my forehand side. It's just taking it, you know, giving it that extra energy to really do damage with, which I found has been a great addition to my game. And I really would recommend a lot of players that, you know, if you're looking to, you know, actually get a little bit more pop on the ball to do a bit more damage, you know, if you're trying to, you know, assert yourself a little bit more on your opponent, that's your game style, I definitely look to try and find a racket which really suits you and allows you to generate that power. For me, it was this racket, but essentially whatever it is, you know, finding that can really make a difference to your game. And we get the break here. with some patience and willpower, and we're now 4-2 up. I think the thing I changed here was just trying to make a few more balls. I kind of knew that if I can stay solid, Iori's eventually kind of going to break down. But that's just a very boring way of playing tennis, and I wanted to keep it interesting. You know, so in the next couple of games, you'll see me trying to, let's just say, not toy around, but have a little bit more fun. And a great point there. You know, staying absolutely solid as a rock, giving me a good chance to go up 5-2 there. And a barely legal shot taking me up 40-30, and then the underarm to take the 5-2 lead. Maybe a little bit disrespectful, but I'm sorry, Iori. And after that point, I felt Iori had this newfound energy about him. I was really not holding back in this game because I wanted to win. I've been kind of planning this out for a couple months, and Iori playing an insane passing shot there. And I don't know what it was, maybe the pressure getting to me a little bit, but Iori began to kind of come to life a bit. And the pure hustle paying off. Absolute grind, but missing that backhand. And now we're back to 5-4, pretty close to even. Now, I really wanted to take this game. I did not want to let Iori back into this one. He was making it really difficult for me to stay ahead. And an absolutely crucial point here at 30-all. I was excited to see if I could just stay in the rally long enough to force an error from Iori. And a massive forehand takes the win, 6-4. Possibly one of my proudest moments in Japan. We out here day 4, Thursday of the second week. Today's a big match. First match of 2 today, since it's going to be raining tomorrow. This one decides who wins the group. My opponent's won 3 from 3. I've won 2 from 2. If I can win this one, I'm through to the semis. So watch my opponent. One of the nice things is that I can watch all of his matches back on Prime. Got a little bit of a game plan and I'm excited. Enjoy the sunny weather here. Look to redeem myself for what happened last week. We're not going to talk about it. Yeah, get the win. So essentially what I meant previously was that between me and my opponent, we would have the largest chance of winning the group. Hopefully, I could get the win and put myself in a really good position for the rest of this week. However, my opponent, came out pretty hot, 40-15. He had played quite a few junior events. I believe he was around 200 or so in the world for juniors. So a little bit younger, a little bit more inexperienced. So hopefully I could kind of play to the fact that I've got experience on my side, even though I'm only 21 years old. I'm not an old man. But again, in this first game, finding a way back from 40-15 was absolutely essential just for confidence. And already looking to come forward to the net as much as possible. As you've seen in the previous week's videos, these courts were lightning fast. So really moving your opponent as much as possible, forcing errors. And also just trying to come to the net were really effective ways like this of winning points. And that was going to be, how we wanted to kind of carry on playing at the beginning of this match. Now, I can't lie, watching myself back now, I look a little bit cooked. I look kind of tired now. I think that might have been all of the grinding with Iori the day before. However, I said to myself that I was going to try and find a way. And sometimes, I guess, conserving energy to a small degree is alright, but if it leads to shots like that and it leads to a lack of mental concentration, then you've really got to up your energy. And I think here in this set, I kind of realized, look, I'm almost going to do more harm than good if I try and kind of conserve some energy. So just trying to win every single game and keep my court time as little as possible was going to be the most effective way of kind of getting that done. I also knew I had 2 matches this day with a full third set, so it could be a real grind if I made it a grind. So I think in that situation, I really wanted to try and speed things up as quick as possible and look to just play as little games as possible, which makes logical sense. But when you're on the court, you kind of, you think, oh look, you're gonna try and win the points as easily as possible. But guys, that's not how tennis works. And I think I kind of had a tough realization here around this point that that's what I had to do to win. I definitely think the variation on my backhand side's improved a lot. You can see 3 different types of backhand there, and the forehand cross finishing that point to give me the break in this first set. Definitely a lot more solid, and it allows me to use my forehand as a bit more of a base to do damage. You can see me looking for it here, going back behind, keeping him guessing, going kind of middle with that backhand, just trying to close off the angle for him and then opening it up with the forehand. I think there's a lot of tactics which I'm kind of trying to employ and then opening the space. I do watch a lot of my matches back, obviously, because I'm recording them, and I learn a lot from that process. And I think there's a lot of things that you can take away from those matches, and you can take away from analysing your own matches. I'm actually quite passionate about kind of trying to help other people and players learn from their own matches if they're going to be filming it. So drop a comment down below if you'd be interested in potentially, I guess learning how to analyze your matches in an effective way, to take stuff from it, build drills to be able to improve that type of stuff, because I think that's one of the main ways that I've been learning from my matches, and it's also one of the main ways my coach has been watching and communicating with me is through these videos. So I think that's one of the main ways you can almost self-improve from watching your matches back. And that's also a reason why I tell a lot of players to film their matches, because it's a super effective way of improving. And that's another reason why these UTR events are great, is because they do that for you. And now, as you can see here, whilst I'm rambling, I'm going up for 3 or 4-0 in this second set, kind of cruising a little bit more. I definitely think that the momentum that I built towards the end of that first set was carrying on, and that kind of confidence that I had in this second set was absolutely massive, and just swinging freely makes such a big difference. And pulling the forehand line for a 5-love lead was a nice bonus, and from here it's about closing it out. And we close it out with the most relaxed forehand of the match in 1 hour and 10 minutes. Some great stats there, and I was pretty happy with the match. Right guys, last match of the group stage, second match of the day. I managed to win the most important one, meaning I'm pretty sure no matter whether I win or lose, I go through. So I'm gonna have a bit of fun in this match. A little bit fatigued, I had a little bit of pain in my kind of right leg, so I'm gonna try and take it easy without kind of joking around. This week's about trying to win the tournament and not necessarily trying to win every match and play my best level. Feeling exhausted over the last couple of days here, but a good type of fatigue. At least the weather's beautiful, sunny. Yeah, good vibes. And so whilst I warm up for the final match, here are the group standings. I've won 3 from 3, so I'm all the way at the top, and the guy that I'm playing has lost 3 from 3. So no matter the outcome of this match, I was going to go through to the semi-finals, which was a great stress reliever, and I could try and just enjoy myself. And with that being said, let's just say it was super windy, and I don't really know what was going on, but I wasn't really playing coherent tennis. And it's actually funny that, I was super positive about, how I wanted to play going into this match. And kind of as soon as I got on court, I just realized how exhausted my body was and how mentally fatigued I was. And you can see me here trying to play as relaxed as possible. But yeah, especially in this first set, my opponent was swinging freely. I was playing pretty free, and it made for some pretty fun points, let's just say it like that. I'm going 4-1 up here with a chance to go 5-1 up. The one thing I would say about these events is obviously in a situation like this, I'm kind of playing for nothing in a way. I know I've qualified, and of course the mindset here should be to work on some things and improve, but I've had so much volume in the legs, I almost just didn't want to be on court, and that's the one area where I feel it's a little bit difficult sometimes to kind of gauge how hard you're going to push in a match like this, because I don't want to tank, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I also really want to make sure that for the semi-finals, which was going to be the next day, that I was ready to compete. And if this match wasn't making me, more confident or whatever, it was a tough battle, to be able to give it 100%. And I did that. Definitely didn't help the situation. Then my opponent then started absolutely destroying forehands like Carlos Alcaraz, and I seem to be just digging myself into a hole here. It's a little bit like what I spoke about earlier in the situation of if you work really hard, then you have less games on court, so you're going to be less tired than if you try to conserve energy and you end up doing stupid stuff and prolonging the match longer than it has to be. And I felt like I was in a little bit of that situation, so in this match, around this point, I began to say, look, let's just try and win this one, which then proved to be a little bit more difficult than I had initially intended. And with some important points, 6-5 here in the tiebreak, my opponent puts the drop shot wide and I win a pretty strenuous first set in this match, which I wasn't too happy about. Honestly, I was actually pretty mad. And then in the second set, I just decided, let's try and win this. But I guess with some found confidence from my opponent, he began to really up his level. And to be honest, I just don't think I really looked like I wanted to be there. And so I made my life way harder than it had to be. And we've all been there sometimes, kind of overthinking in the match. But my dad was actually behind the court here and he kind of said, look, Felix, let's just try and close this one out. Let's try and stay focused. We know it doesn't make a difference overall, but you're just digging yourself a bigger hole here, so just get it done. And with the underarm serve serving me pretty well, I go up 5-3 in this second set. Really just trying to close it out here. I was pretty gassed, to be honest, more mentally than physically, if I'm being very honest with myself. And I just wanted to get a chance to serve for it and close it out. And at 40 love, we close it out and go 4 from 4 from the group and into the semis.
Yes guys, so it's the night before semi-finals day. Had a nice rest day today. It turns out that I'm playing against the seed number 1 who I played last week. Now, we all know what happened last week. If you haven't watched the video, go and check it out. I basically passed out before my match, but I'm playing him again tomorrow. And one of the great things about the UTR is that I can watch my matches back. So that's what I'm doing right now, going through all of the match highlights to try and figure out a little bit of a game plan of, what I want to try and do against this guy. I think going forwards, like match analysis is super key. So for a lot of you guys that want to improve your games, actually filming and watching back your matches, talking to coaches about it can be a really useful tool to actually, you know, working on certain areas, tactics, decision making, all of those things, which if you're just playing a match and forgetting about it, you can't really do, you know. So here, just basically watching back some of kind of the match highlights. How is he returning on his backhand, his forehand? How am I moving? Like, what was I doing well? You can see when he's aggressive there, he's really able to open up the court. But I do think that if I can be aggressive like this and use my forehand to get it, especially onto his backhand side, I can do quite a lot of damage. That being said, it's about kind of 10:30. I finished up my recon, so it's time for bed and an early start, and let's go win this match.
So with that being said, for those of you that haven't watched last week's video, my opponent in the semi-final was Ryota Tanuma, former world number 500 ATP, currently sitting around 1,000, but coming back from an injury. He actually won last week's tournament, I believe, without dropping a set. So playing some very good tennis. He's on an, I think, 11-match win streak now that I'm playing against him. So I knew he was going to be used to the courts, he was going to be used to the conditions, but so was I, and I really wanted to make this match one to remember and go through to the final and win my first title. I mean, obviously, that's why I'm here. But really wanted to win this match specifically, and I started off on the right foot, being aggressive and doing all the right things. I think using the backhand really well in that point, but you know, him hitting a really good angled backhand just to kind of close it out, and using that kick serve to kind of, you know, really, you know, make the bounce very uneven. And I think that my backhand side, I was definitely able to, I'm moving the ball a lot better around the court, good depth, more variation, which I was really liking. I think sometimes it's almost trying not to rely on the fact that it's improved, and what I mean by that is my forehand's still my weapon. Like, I don't need to, sometimes I kind of convince myself that, oh yeah, I can do it now on the backhand. No, just do it on the forehand and you can do it 5 times better. I think that that's something that's super important to also bear in mind. And my opponent doing a really good job here, you know, forcing the kind of error from me, and you know, he was really making his service games tight, which obviously put a lot of pressure on me, and you know, forced me to try and go for a little bit higher risk towards the beginning of this match to try and find you know, ways to win points, because as you can see here, great backhand up the line, already putting me on the back foot in my service game, and again, not really doing too much wrong, just giving him maybe 1 or 2 chances to be a little bit more aggressive, and him taking them very well. I think when you play this level of opponent, it really goes from what can I do to how can I prevent them from playing their game. And I think, as you can see here, going down a break, I didn't really do too much wrong, but I allowed him to do a lot right. And I think sometimes that can be the difference. And finding out the nuances at this level is really the difference that can, you know, you have to make to be able to beat this level of opponent, to get to 500, to get to 300 in the world. Those are the things that you have to start doing, and actually getting experience playing against these types of players is honestly invaluable. And I think that that's something that, you know, for me, playing against my opponent today was something I wanted to take from this match. Win or lose was really just getting the experience of playing someone like this, feeling what it's like to play against him, and you know, working on the things that I felt that I could improve. And even though I lost this first set 6-2, I did think it was pretty closely fought, so I did have a lot of confidence going into the second set. I felt the adjustments that I could make potentially were not giving him as much time on the ball, because as you can see, absolutely ripping it with a lot of depth. These courts are way too quick to be able to give someone that much time, and also just trying to get it into his backhand to kind of force that slice a little bit more. But he was able to really just switch the court up, switch the pace up really well, as you can see there, and find a break. And it almost felt a little bit at this point that my opponent was taking the match out of my hands, which wasn't a nice feeling. But you know, I tried to stay focused on the controllables that I could do, and really try and force him to start putting some pressure on his own games, to start forcing a few errors. I'm missing that backhand wide, just mistiming that backhand, really costing me. I was actually pretty frustrated with my backhand timing in this match. I'm not sure whether it was something on the day or whether my movement was a little bit off, but it was really costing me a couple of, you know, second serves that were just jamming me in the body a little bit. I tried to adjust towards the end of this match, but I think it might have been a little bit too little too late, and so it really forced me in my service games to really do something a bit too much. And you know, you can see me there, you know, forcing the error. And I felt here at 6-2, 5-1. Again, a lot of the points looking like this, some really solid stuff, and just too good for my opponent. But I was determined to try and find a way back into this match. and it turns out it wasn't really my day. Right guys, so that sums it up for my UTR PTT experience in Japan. Now, overall was a very positive 2 weeks. I managed to lose to the finalists in the semi-finals both times, which was a little bit frustrating, but also a very positive thing. I got 5 matches each week, which obviously allowed me to get a lot of time with my racket, and I think I'm playing some much better tennis now, which I'm super happy about. And I think what UTR is doing with these events is really making a difference to a lot of players like myself, allowing us to get more matches, good prize money, and it's all recorded so you can watch back and improve. Now, alongside the PTT format, UTR has what's called Flex Leagues as well. They're primarily ran in Australia and the US right now, but they're expanding globally to countries like the UK, Dubai, Portugal, and many others. Now, essentially, you get matched up with 4 players in a group, similar to the PTT format, and you play best of 3 sets with a match tie rate to 10 at the end. You're competing for prizes, you're competing to move up to higher league groups, essentially. You can even win prize money if your UTR is high enough. So if you're someone that's looking to improve your game, meet new people, or if you're someone that's trying to play UTR matches to go potentially to a Division 1 college or something like that, then go and check out Flex Leagues. There'll be a link in the description. And I think UTR is doing an amazing job of facilitating a lot more matches for a lot of players, and also a lot of improvement for players to understand where their level is and how they can improve. So check out the link in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.